Today we will discuss regarding water policy reforms in India. The Ministry of Water Resources constituted a seven-member committee led by Mir Shah to restructure the Central Water Commission and the Central Groundwater Board to encourage optimal development of water resource in the country and recommend changes in water governance. A committee headed by Mir Shah was constituted to encourage the optimal development of water resource in the country as and to recommend changes in the water governance. The Mir Shah Committee was constituted in 2015. A report was submitted in the year 2016 and the report was titled as a 21st Century Institutional Architecture for India's Water Reforms, Restructuring the CWC and CGWB. The committee submitted a report in the year 2016 and the title was A 21st Century Institutional Architecture for India's Water Reforms, Restructuring the CWC and CGWB. The CWC is responsible for coordinating with states for the implementation of schemes for the conservation and utilization of water resources. The main job of the CWC is to coordinate in between the states to implementation of the schemes and also for the conservation and utilization of the water resources. The Central Groundwater Board is responsible for assessment of groundwater resources and implementation of policies for its sustainable development. Groundwater Board deals with the groundwater resources for its implementation as well as framing of the policies for sustainable management. The committee recommended the following recommendations. It recommended to dismantle the CWC and CGWB to create a multidisciplinary, unified and new National Water Commission. It recommended to form a new water commission by dismantling the CWC and CGWB, greater involvement of social scientists, professionals from management and other specialized disciplines and reduce reliance on engineers. It also suggested the involvement of the social scientists and professionals from management and other disciplines and not only to rely on the engineers in the water management. It reasoned that a unified body will help in the collective management of ground and surface water. So, the reason why it suggested to dis, to have a unified commission, that is National Water Commission, because it will help the collective management of ground and surface water together. The NWC will be responsible for water policy, data and governance in the country. It should be an adjunct office to the Ministry of Water Resources and function with full autonomy. The above recommendations were not implemented and there were major criticism from the CWC. But these recommendations were not implemented because there was some criticism from the CWC. On 13th November 2019, the Government of India formed a high-powered committee led by Mir Shah to analyze and draft new water reforms. The 10-member committee has been asked to bring both the Central Water Commission and the Central Groundwater Board in its ambit. The team will analyze the various gaps left unaddressed by the two agencies. Again in 2019, the Government of India has constituted a high-powered committee led by Mir Shah to analyze and draft the new water reforms. The committee consists of 10 members and again it has tasked to bring the both CWC and CGWB, that is Central Groundwater Board, in its ambit. Why we need a new water policy? National water policy was formulated to govern the planning and development of water resources and their optimum utilization. NWP was formulated for governing and planning the development of water resources and their optimum utilizations. The first NWP was adopted in September 87 and again it was reviewed during 2002 and 2012. A new national water policy will recommend key changes in water governance structures and regulatory framework based on the following parameters. Changing needs of the nation. The new NWP has to keep in mind the following parameters, and the parameters are changing needs of the nation, a growing population, rising needs of a developing nation, the looming uncertainty of climate change, conflicts could increase in future, availability of water, utilizable water is coming under strain. That means we are facing the water stress situation. The water that lies stored in our dams is not reaching the farmers for whom it is meant to. The distribution systems are not working properly because of the vested interest. The stored water in our dams is not reaching the farmers whom it is supposed to be meant for. Groundwater faces a crisis of sustainability. Groundwater is under a crisis because there is no sustainable use of the groundwater, as we are over exploiting the groundwater than we are recharging the groundwater. Himalayan water source is decreasing. There is a snow melt, and due to the climatic changes, Himalayan water resource is decreasing. Key features of National Water Policy 2012. So what are the features of National Water Policy 2012? It laid down the concept of an integrated water resource management approach that took the river basin or sub-basin as a unit of planning, development and management of water resources. The IWRM approach was considered in the National Water Policy 2012, and it consisted of the river basin or the sub-basin as a unit for planning and development of water resources. Integrated water resource management is a process that promotes the coordinated development and management of water, land and related resources in order to maximize the resultant economic and social welfare in an equitable manner without compromising the sustainability of the vital ecosystems. Already we have seen the principles and definition of the IWRM. So it seeks a coordinated development of management of water and related, and it also deals with land and related resources in order to maximize the resultant economic and social welfare in an equitable manner. Emphasis on the need for a national water framework law, comprehensive legislation for optimum development of interstate rivers and river valleys. NWP also provides a platform, or it emphasizes on the need of the national water framework of laws and a comprehensive legislation for optimum development of interstate rivers and river valleys. So it takes care of the interstate rivers and river valleys by formulating the legislation for that purpose. The other features are ecological needs of the river. A portion of the river flow should be kept aside to meet ecological needs, ensuring that the proportional low and high flow releases correspond in time closely to the natural flow regime. So it also provides for the ecological needs of the river. So there should be some minimum or some required quantity of flow should be ensured for the ecological purposes. Water after meeting the preemptive needs for safe drinking water and sanitation, achieving food security, supporting poor people dependent on agriculture and high priority allocation for ecosystem needs be treated as economic good so as to promote its conservation and efficient use. Water after meeting the preemptive needs. So after allocating the water for the safe drinking and sanitation purpose and achieving the food security, and also supporting the poor people dependent on the agriculture and high priority allocations. That is the first priority allocation. After meeting the first priority allocations, the water The balanced water is to be treated as an economic good so as to promote its conservation and efficient use. Setting up of water regulatory authority has been recommended. Incentivization of recycle and reuse has been recommended. The NWT also suggests to set up water regulatory authorities, and also it suggests to provide incentivities for recycling and reusing of the water. Water Users Association should be given statutory power to collect and retain a portion of water charges, manage quantum of water allocated to them, and maintain the distribution system in their jurisdiction. It also suggests the Water Users Association should give a statutory power to collect and retain a portion of water charges. So whatever the revenues are collected by the WUAs, a portion of that is to be retained with the WUAs, and also WUAs are supposed to manage quantum of water allocated to them and maintain the distributed system in their jurisdiction. Water resources projects and services should be managed with community participation. The private sector can be encouraged to become a service provider in PPP mode. Water resource projects need to be managed with the community participation, and also there should be provision of the private sector for the better services on PPP mode. The future challenges: minimum water flow. To maintain the minimum flow of a portion of river to meet ecological needs, in 2018 such an approach led the government to require minimum water levels to be maintained in the Ganga throughout the year by refraining from holding water beyond a point. The challenges are that we are supposed to maintain a minimum flow in the rivers to meet the ecological needs. Such an approach was led by the government during 2018 to provide a required minimum water levels at the river Ganga throughout the year. Emphasis to make a minimum quantity of potable water available to citizens for maintaining essential health and hygiene. So there is also a challenge that we are we have to provide a minimum quantity of potable water, that is drinking water, available to citizens for maintaining essential health and sanitation. Interbasin transfers. To meet basic human needs and achieve equity and social justice, interbasin transfers of water need to be considered in the on the basis of merits on each case after evaluating the environmental, economic, and social impacts of such transfer. So there is also a need of interbasin transfer for the purpose of meeting our needs, and these interbasin transfers are to be based on case specific and also based on the merits of each case after evaluating the environmental, economic, and social impacts of such transfers. National Bureau of Water Use Efficiency is proposed to be set up in order to enhance water usage efficiency, especially in domestic and industrial sectors. So also there is a need to monitor the efficient use of water. Hence it is proposed to establish a National Bureau of Water Use Efficiency, which has to take care and monitor the efficiency, especially in domestic and industrial sectors. Many challenges have emerged significantly in water sector, which require to be addressed through appropriate revision of national water policies. So whenever we face challenges, we are required to address them by making appropriate revisions of national water policies. In order to meet the present challenges in water sector, revision of National Water Policy 2012 has been envisaged by the Department of Water Resources, River Development and Ganga Rejuvenation, Ministry of Jal Shakti, and a drafting committee has been constituted on 5th November 2019 to revise the National Water Policy. So already we have revised the National Water Policy twice, in 2002 and 2012, and again it is suggested to revise the national water policy. Hence again a committee has been constituted in 2019 for this purpose. Along with that, also the river development and Ganga rejuvenation boards and Ministry of Jal Shakti have also been formed and have entrusted the job to draft the revised NWP. The revision of national water policy requires wider consultations with various stakeholders, including state governments. So the revision needs to be deal with, or it has to involve the stakeholders, including the state governments, while drafting or revising, making the revision of the NWP. A meeting of the state ministers in charge of water resources, water supply and sanitation was held on 11th June 2019 at New Delhi to review the steps taken by the various states on water conservation and the implementation of action plans to deal with water supply situation, plan for water harvesting and conservation in convergence with other programs. So the meeting of state ministers who are in charge of the water resources and as well as the water supply and sanitation were met in June 2019 to review the steps taken regarding the implementation of the action plans which have already been formulated, and also to deal with the water supply situation and plan for water harvesting and conservation in convergence with the other programs. State governments were requested to complete water conservation measures for a large scale rainwater harvesting system. State governments were suggested or requested to complete the water conservation measures for large scale rainwater harvesting. So required to have the water harvesting on a large scale to make use of the available rain during the rainy seasons, and the state governments are requested in this regard. Government of India has launched Jal Shakti Abhiyan, a water conservation campaign which is being implemented in 256 water stressed districts of the country. The Government of India has also launched a Jal Shakti Abhiyan, a water conservation campaign. It is a water conservation campaign and it is being implemented about 256 water stressed districts in our country. The Jal Shakti Abhiyan is being implemented under two phases. In the second phase, the southern states which receive retreating monsoon were considered for the implementation of the Jal Shakti Abhiyan. And during the campaign, officers, groundwater experts and scientists from the Government of India have worked with the state and district officials in these districts to promote water conservation and water resource management by focusing on accelerated implementation of 5 target interventions. So during Jal Shakti Abhiyan campaign, the officers and the groundwater experts and scientists of the Union government have worked together with the state and district officials to promote water conservation and water resource management by focusing on the accelerated implementation of the 5 target interventions. So they have framed some interventions to mitigate the water stress condition, and they are also supposed to accelerate. These are accelerated implementation. They have to implement it then in an accelerated manner, and these interventions are water conservation and rain harvesting. So in the water stressed districts, they are taken up implementing the interventions such as water conservation and rainwater harvesting, renovation of traditional and other water bodies and tanks. They have also taken up the task of renovating the traditional water bodies and tanks which were neglected. The other interventions are reuse and recharge of borewells. So we are supposed to recharge and reuse the borewells, watershed development and intensive afforestation. With this campaign, huge awareness has been generated and various stakeholders government departments, agencies, NGOs, officials, panchayats, individuals, etc. have started taking steps for water conservation. So the Jal Shakti Abhiyan has created a huge awareness, and the stakeholders like government departments, agencies, and non-governmental organizations, panchayats, individuals, etc. have started taking steps for conserving the water. Innovative policy and program initiatives. In the last few years, there have been many innovative policy interventions and programs in the water sector in India. There are many innovative policy programs and interventions taken up by the Government of India in the irrigation sector. The Accelerated Irrigation Benefit Program was taken up for early completion of ongoing projects which were in an advanced stage of completion by pumping in additional funds. The Union government supported the state governments by providing the funds for completing the projects which have already been taken up and suffering because of the funds, and these funds were provided under Accelerated Irrigation Benefit Program, that is AIBP. Over the years this program has been modified, and in the process the main objective have been diluted. Over the years this program has been modified. There are many modifications have been taken to this AIB program, and in the following days the objectives have been diluted. Delays have also been experienced in the process of transferring the funds from the finance department to the state to the project, depending on the ways and means positions of the states. So there are also many delays, maybe because of the political reasons or lack of funds. There was delay in transferring the funds from the finance department to the state projects. This has also caused some problems in implementing the AIBP. The innovative program has therefore been only a partial success. The program perhaps needs to be revamped by specifying stricter criteria for the selection of the projects and by making it easier to operate in regard to direct availability of the funds to the project. There is enough scope for using banking institutions for regulating the flow of funds. There is a need to revamp the innovative policies or the schemes like AIBP, because they have been achieved a partial success. So there is a need to revamp the programs by specifying stricter criteria for the selection of the projects, and also making it easy in the process of transferring the funds or making the availability of the funds to the project. And there is a scope for the banking institutions for regulating the flow of funds. In the hydropower sector, the new policy for hydropower has been important policy intervention. Again, this has been a partial success, and only a couple of hydropower projects in the private sector have materialized as a result of the policy. So there are also some interventions have been taken up for the in the policies of the hydropower sector, and again the interventions are partially success, and only couple of the hydropower projects, only few hydropower projects in the private sector have been materialized as a result of the new policy. Most hydropower developments continue to be in the public sector, and the public sector corporations are implementing such projects on the basis of loan from Indian or international financing institutions. Still, there are many hydropower development projects which lie with the public sector, and public sector corporations are implementing such projects by taking loan from the Indian or the international institutions. At present, most hydropower projects under implementation are on the run of the river type for effectively meeting the peak demands in the largely thermal based grid. Storage projects are essentials. It appears that at present the policy does not adequately address the problems of political risks, delays in land acquisition and the resettlement of people, and delays caused by consequent litigations in the in an adequate way. It appears that the present at the present the policies does not adequately address, but still the new policies are also not adequately addressing the problems like delays in the land acquisition and resettlement of the people who are affected by these projects, and also delays caused by consequent litigations in an adequate way. And there are so many litigations in this regard of rehabilitation and resettlement, and these are causing a lot of delays in implementing the projects, and the present day policies also are not addressed these problems adequately. A further revision of the hydropower policy appears necessary, and still we need to revise the hydropower policy, keeping the aspects as mentioned above. In regard to domestic water supply, an important policy intervention consisted specifying that in each irrigation project a provision for water supply to the adjoining areas to utilize about 10% of the additional supplies be made. The new policies also considered the aspect of domestic water supply. An important policy intervention is that it specifies in each irrigation project a provision of water supply to the adjoining areas to utilize about 10% of the additional supplies be made. So it suggests to keep an additional 10% of the storage facility to provide the water supply to the adjoining areas. This seems to have worked well, and this provision is being generally adhered to. So this criteria has worked well, and it is being adhered. A post evaluation, however, may be useful, but still the post evaluation or the performance audits are also necessary to assess the efficiency or the efficiency of the implementation of the new policies. Conjunctive use of surface and groundwater. The policy intervention requires that all irrigation projects provide for such a use. For facilitating this process, detailed guidelines and conjunctive use have been finalized by INCID and CWC. The policy interventions are required that all the irrigation projects should make use of the surface and groundwater, that is the conjunctive use, and to facilitate the process of conjunctive use, the Central Water Commission has already developed the guidelines and it has been finalized. The feasibility reports of all major and medium projects are supposed to provide for detailed conjunctive use plans. So all the medium and major scale irrigation projects, they are supposed to provide a feasibility report for using the conjunct or making use of the conjunctive use of both surface and groundwater. However, these plans are never adequately detailed, and often the cost and benefits of the conjunctive use are not included in the project. Somehow, so far, the detailed plans are not adequately detailed because they do not involve the factors like cost and benefits of the conjunctive use, and they are supposed to be revised in this respect. The institutional modalities for implementing the plan and the necessary changes in the state policies are also left uncertain. So the institutional modalities for implementing the plan and necessary changes in the state policies are also left uncertain, because the central government suggests the above interventions, but the institutional modalities for implementing such changes by the state governments are also left uncertain. This intervention can therefore be considered only a partial success because of the intervention of conjunctive use of surface and groundwater is also considered as a partial success and still it needs to be revised or reformed. In regard to urban water supply and sanitation, reforms have been undertaken for encouraging decentralization by shifting responsibilities to the municipal governments, changing the role of the government from service providers to regulator, commercialization of existing units, financial reforms for providing market access to service providers, etc. The reforms have been also proposed or taken up in water, urban water supply and sanitation programs. Decentralization have been emphasized, that is, the responsibilities have been shifted from the governments to the municipalities, and there is also a changing and there is also emphasis on the changing the role of the government from service provider to regulator. So the government is not now directly involved as a service provider, but it regulates the service providers. That means it regulates the agencies which are involved in providing the services. And there is also the processes like commercialization of the existing units, financial reforms for providing market access to service providers are considered under the reforms. The beginning has already been made in respect of private sector participation in urban water supply utilities, for example in Chennai, Bangalore, Delhi, etc. So already the reforms have considered by making the provision for participation of the private sectors in the urban water supplies. However, the interfacing of the private sector participation proposals with the protection of the water rights of the upstream and downstream users requires careful consideration. So when such private sectors are involved or they are participating in the water supplies projects, then there is a need to protect the water rights of the upstream and downstream users, and it requires a careful consideration. The experience regarding the use of waters of the Shanok River through private participation indicates that if these details are not considered, serious criticism about the sellout of natural waters can result. In regard to rural water supply and sanitation, sectoral reforms have started for empowerment of the community in decision making. This would include decisions about the planning and implementation of schemes, and eventually about the control and management. Sectoral reforms have been started for empowerment of the community decision making. Now the decisions of the sectoral reforms, that means the use of the different sectors of the water, the communities are involved in decision making. This would include decisions about the planning and implementation of schemes, eventually about the control and management. So this includes the decisions about the planning as well as the implementation of the schemes, and also about the control and the management of the systems. Partial capital cost sharing and full sharing of the O&M requirement is also provided. So there is a provision is, is considered for the partial capital cost sharing and full sharing of the O&M requirements. The O&M may be shared fully, or sometimes depending on the circumstances it may be the sharing of capital cost, partial capital cost of the projects. In regard to rural water supply for problem communities, the Rajiv Gandhi National Drinking Water Mission is an important program intervention. This has been fairly successful, although supply to communities in areas with endemic groundwater quality problems has not been successful. Submissions have been constituted deal with preventive and remedial measures to address problems like arsenic, blackishness, and iron content, etc. So, in the rural water supply, where for the problem communities. There are some communities which are facing the drinking water supply problem in rural area. Rajiv Gandhi National Drinking Water Mission is an important program intervention. So in such cases, the interventions are taken under the Rajiv Gandhi National Drinking Water Mission. This has been fairly successful, although supply to communities in areas with endemic groundwater quality problems has not been successful. In some communities, there are some water quality problems, and in such cases, still we are not able to achieve the 100% success, and they are partially successful in such community services. Submissions have been constituted to deal with preventive and remedial measures to address problems like arsenic, brackish and iron problems in the groundwater. So, some many other submissions or the annexure missions have been taken up in such areas to deal with the preventive as well as the remedial measures to address the problems like the content of arsenic or the brackishness, that is the hard water, and also the iron content in the drinking water. To address such problems, already some annexure measures have been taken up under this Rajiv Gandhi National Drinking Water Mission. Okay, thank you.